Hi, everyone. I'm Erika Steinberg, and welcome to Around the Ladder, the podcast where we explore the unexpected paths of career journeys. Many of us are familiar with the phrase climbing the corporate ladder, but what happens when your path doesn't follow a straight line? I love the idea of going around the ladder and really carving out a different kind of career path for yourself. My own journey certainly took this route. After 25 years as an employee, I struck out on my own as an entrepreneur, and I realized, oh my goodness, this is so new for me, but I know I'm not alone in this kind of journey. And I created the Around the Ladder podcast so I could talk to others about their journeys. Today, I am very happy to welcome MerriLyn Gibbs. MerriLyn is the founder of Assistance for Hire, a company dedicated to helping small businesses and attorneys thrive by reclaiming their time and focusing on what they love. Her team provides tailored administrative support and strategies to manage growth with ease. MerriLyn's passion is creating solutions that empower business owners to achieve balance and long-term success. As an entrepreneur and business owner herself, her work aims to help other leaders just starting out. She helps businesses with fewer than 25 employees, small and medium-sized legal firms, solopreneurs with less than 3 years in business, and other leaders who are looking really to scale and grow with a little help. And I am very happy to count myself as one of the businesses that MerriLyn has worked with, somebody who she has helped, and we continue to find ways to work together as my business has grown. So we're working together as partners now as well. So MerriLyn, welcome. I am so happy to have you here. It's such a pleasure. Um, let's start. Of course, you know what I'm going to ask you. I want to start talking a little bit about your own career because for people who don't know you very well, you went from coaching women's golf and you're a golf pro to being an entrepreneur. So I know that this didn't happen all at once, but can you describe your journey for us and also what all of these shifts have felt like for you?
Yes, I will just kind of start from the beginning. I started trying to play on the LPGA. I think that's where a lot of coaches start, um, and I didn't make it. So then I came up with what's next, and I really thought that coaching golf at a college level was going to be a long-term plan. It came much earlier, and I just decided to throw my name in the hat and just see what happened. I got a job very quickly. It was in not my most desirable location. It was in South Dakota. I think that was part of the reason I got the job because not
I
many.
don't think I knew that part.
Yeah. So that was my first coaching job. And I did exceptionally well. I got my women's team in my first year to nationals. I got my men's to regionals in the first time in school history. And it was an exceptionally good year for me. And so, as South Dakota was a very hard terrain for me to continue in, I started looking for my next opportunity and moved to Pennsylvania. And I started both the men's and the women's golf programs at California University of Pennsylvania. That was in, I think 2007, 2006, possibly. Um, and I honestly just got inducted to the Hall of Fame there this year. So
Congratulations.
yeah, I mean, I had a great tenure there. I was there for 12 and a half years. We made it to nationals 8 times as a team, well, 4 times as a team, 3 times as individuals, and just had a really phenomenal time. And I loved it. I mean, I'm not one of the people that thought about a new career because they were miserable or it was a toxic culture. I loved what I did. I felt like I was a fish in water. So my moment of change and reassess was I unexpectedly got pregnant. Um, I I was in a relationship for 3 years and we were really not planning on having a baby. And there she was inside of it. So I had a lot of big decisions and I really thought, I don't know if I'm ever going to I was 38. I actually planned on never having children. And the moment she was there, I needed to reassess and I decided to keep her. And that to me meant a big change in my lifestyle. Coaching required about 6 months of travel a year, consistently. I was a single mom. Her father and I decided, well, he decided to end our relationship upon the pregnancy. We fortunately were able to maintain custody during that time, decided on custody arrangements. But I knew that I didn't want to be a mom that was never around my child.
Hmm.
And so I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought, I have no transferable skills. I only know how to be a coach. What do I do next? And so I went to a good friend of mine who was at the university, Dennis Sweeney, who was also a career coach. And I worked with him for about 4 years. And after I did my first session with him, it was like, I had to take a bunch of tests, all these personality tests and what my skill sets were. He came back to the second session and he said, um, MerriLyn, I think you need to be an entrepreneur and you may have to blip this. I'm not sure, but I'm going to tell you word for word what I said. I said, fuck no. That was,
Entrepreneur, that's a very vague term. I mean, there's a lot of ways to be an entrepreneur.
I mean, my initial gut reaction was, that is too risky. I am going to have a baby. There is no way
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to do this. And systematically, he showed me that I had so many transferable skills and that I was already an entrepreneur. Coaching for me was an entrepreneurial opportunity for me. Only I had somebody paying my checks. I had PTO. I had medical
Yeah.
leave, but I was running my own show. I was. And he showed me that I was a great salesperson. I had been recruiting for years. I was fundraising. I was fundraising for my own team. And I incorporated in that, I had a monthly newsletter that I wrote to all of my constituents. I was already managing 12, 15 schedules. I was planning efficiency models to schedule plans and practice plans. Um,
You were already running a business
I was already running a
and you
business.
didn't even know.
Exactly. And so I realized quickly that in order for me to do what I really wanted to, which was to spend as much time as possible with my daughter and to be in charge of my own schedule, really my only option was to become an entrepreneur and start my own business. And virtual assistants, as you may have just heard, those skill sets really roll into exactly what I am doing now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think that and I can see how everything that you were doing running the golf program could easily be transferred to running a different kind of business and the kind of work that you do for your clients.
Yep,
So,
exactly.
so what was that moment? I think I read on your website that a friend of yours, you were talking to a friend of yours and something happened and something shifted for you and you were just like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like what was that shift like for you? What happened there?
I mean, I'm sure many of our audience members can relate, but to make such a big jump was absolutely terrifying. I had a successful career. I had a very solid income. I was a homeowner. I was very settled, right? So I was in this place of a lot of fear. And I remember I was talking to my friend Angela Levitt. I've known her. We actually served a Mormon mission together in Ecuador. We were roommates in Ecuador. So I've known her since I was 21. I'm not going to tell you how many years that is, Erika. You guys can all guess. That was a long time.
I can do math.
Okay. And she had been in business for about 7 or 8 years at the time. She owns a company called Magenta. It's a digital marketing company that really focuses on telecom. And she just started saying, MerriLyn, if I could just hire somebody to do these things for me. And she was just saying how overwhelmed she was. how her plate of things that were just not useful for her would be. And I just thought, oh, I could do all of that.
Yeah.
That's in my wheelhouse. This is not hard for me to do, right? I can manage schedules. I can get you I can get you flight plans. I can book your travel. I got this. This is easy. And that's when I knew I was going to launch. I started writing my business plan, I think about a week later.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
So you launched the business literally as you were having a baby. So you were kind of like giving birth to two things at the same time.
Well, I had some delay. I did have to
Okay.
sell a house. I didn't move to New York until I was 16. My daughter was 16 months old.
Okay.
I did have some transition and some time. So it wasn't quite that, but yes, I was still a single mom with a very young baby,
Yeah. Yeah.
moving from Pittsburgh to New York, uh, with with no one. I knew one person here besides the baby daddy. So two people. I knew two
Yes.
people when I landed.
Oh my goodness. So how did how did becoming a mother um, influence or change how you were thinking about the amount, how you wanted to work? I mean, building a business, yes, you're doing it on your own schedule. It's still a lot of work, and you really have to pay a lot of attention to that. So, how did this, like, what, I'm just curious about everything, because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would like to know how do you do these two things at one time?
It was not easy, and I slept very little. I'll be very honest. So I am on a 50-50 schedule with her dad, and I knew in order to survive here in New York that I just, for whatever reason, I said to myself, I have to meet 1,000 people in my first year in order to make it here. And how I did that, and I actually wrote a blog about it if you ever want, you're curious and you want to go check out my website.
I think
But
I've read that one. That sounds familiar.
yeah, you may have. How I did that is that I signed up for a BNI, which is Business Networking International. It's a very large organization. There's about, I think, over 60 chapters in New York City.
Mhm.
They're mostly at 7 a.m. And I found the one chapter that was 9 a.m. And when you're a member, you can attend any other BNI group. So I did not have my daughter on Tuesdays, and I would make Tuesday my full networking day. So I would go to a 7 a.m. BNI, then I'd go to my 9 a.m. BNI, and then I would try to find anything else I could during the day. I'd have lunches. Back then, you didn't have a lot of Zoom calls for
Yeah.
networking. You had lunches, you had coffees, you had dinner, you had drinks, and I would just book from 7 a.m. and get home to around 9, 10 o'clock, and then have to catch up on any work. And then when I had my daughter, I was fully on with her. I actually didn't do a lot of work when she was in her waking hours. I worked when she was napping or she was asleep.
Yeah.
So most nights I had my daughter, I would put her to bed, and then I would be up till 2 or 3 in the morning. I would sleep for 3 or 4 hours, get up and try to get a couple more work hours in before she woke up. And that would be how I managed my life. Obviously, it wasn't very maintainable.
Yeah.
I started realizing I was making a lot of mistakes on newsletters. I have no idea why, right? Sleep deprived.
Okay, I can't imagine.
And so that was my first hire. I hired Myra, my I think it was 11 months into my business, and she was my first team member, my editor, probably my saving grace. That's when I started sleeping 6 hours a night. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah. And even now, I mean, your business now is rooted in helping others reclaim their time, like you needed to get some of your time. So, what now, your business is far more mature. Your
yes.
daughter is older, of course,
Nine, yeah,
a
9.5.
little bit older.
Yes.
So, how has your relationship with time changed over your career?
I love that question because I fully believe time is our most valuable commodity. I've said it for years that we will get, if we don't have money, you will get money. If you don't have friends, you will get friends. The one thing we never get back is our time.
Yeah.
You, and so um, that's how I've always felt. That's where I've always put my biggest emphasis. And it just it continues to grow. Fortunately, at the beginning, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, you don't have the luxury of not working when you don't want to work. And I quickly started changing that dynamic, even from small things. I'll just tell you the one of my biggest
Mhm.
shifts. It was my second year in business, and I decided to go to Mexico for the entire month of February. I could. I had a virtual company.
Mhm.
And I didn't have the money to do it, but I thought, you know what? I can't control how much money is coming into my business, but I can control how I do my business. And even if I still have to work, working from Mexico is way better in February than
Yes.
working in New York City. And so that was kind of my first shift, like the my first big shift. Like I may not be able to control where, how my time is, but I can make my time better.
Yeah.
Can make what I'm doing better by my location or how I'm doing or where I'm doing it. And that was like a huge shift for me. And then 4 years in is when I finally had a team in place. I had four members for my team in place. And that's the year I got married. And I took my first vacation, 2 weeks off during my wedding, and was completely offline, did not check my email once. And that was kind of big game changer. Now I do it all the time.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
And that's such it's so interesting because your own professional journey really mirrors or reflects back to your clients what can be possible for them.
Yes.
You know, that if you know you've walked the walk, you don't just talk the talk, you've actually walked the walk. So, and I know that knowing you for a few years as I have, I know that you just love it and you absolutely light up when you hear from somebody that you or your team has made their life easier. That it's like, this is what, you know, like, this is why I'm here. And so when I think back to that, it just makes me think like your, your whole business is really about service and getting and reclaiming that time and being in service to people so they can do the same thing that you've been able to do. So is has that been like a through line really in the different areas of your career?
Yes, absolutely. I think as I've matured and
Have you matured?
I absolutely we all have. Yes. I
Not too
mean,
much though. Let's not.
who I was in business 8 years ago. I mean, I was like a deer in headlights my
Yeah,
first year. I was
I
just
get it.
trying to figure out what I was supposed to be doing and how I could survive. And now, I mean, I walk into the room knowing exactly my value and what the value of our company is. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I feel like we have really transformed people's businesses. We've seen them scale and grow, which is just so rewarding. We've started with solopreneurs that then bring on teams, build their teams, triple their contracts with us, triple their gross income as a company as we work with them. We have also just seen the entrepreneur that is finally able to bring on their first team member and they choose us and we get to kind of help them navigate how do they work with us and how do they delegate and how do they project manage because we do
Yeah.
that for them. You know, we're really there to be I feel like we are partners in business more than
Yes.
we are your admin team and we want to be partners in helping you grow and scale. And it's absolutely how I feel I have been in business as well. I, I, love that I don't implement anything into a client contract or scope till I have tried it myself. Like we basically, any new service we put onto our platform and what we can do, we try it out first for a while internally before we
Yeah.
publicize it as a public service that we offer.
Yeah. So then your clients know there's such a trust factor between in that relationship. So I think that just probably amplifies that trust even more.
Yeah.
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 So I remember when you and I started working together, I was just like, at the beginning, I was like, I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do. What is a simple productivity shift or trick or something hack that you recommend that people consistently overlook or underestimate?
I will tell you my most valuable saving time. There are two things, and I've talked about it so many times, I'm probably blue in the face, but I think this is the game changer in anyone's productivity and efficiency. Number one, time block your email. Make it like it is literally a client meeting for yourself. You only focus on it. It only gets a certain amount of time. Make sure that you are in and out and done. Uh, and you do that, depending on the flow and how much time, how much you have coming into your inbox. That could be 3 times a day. That is what my process is. I only look at my email 3 times a day, but some people can do it only twice a day or once a day if that works for you. The second biggest hack is use templates. Like templates are such a game changer. I can, things that used to take me 10 minutes to write to a client, anytime I write it twice, it is then a template and then it takes me 5 minutes. I
Yeah.
just have to change a few lines or change a few things here and then I'm done. Such a game changer. And really document those templates. Make sure that you have a template document. It's in your email itself, but make sure that you're documenting those consistently.
Yeah, those are, I mean, that is, it's such a hack. I love that. And I do have a number of emails that I write over and over again, and I've saved them. I've saved them. So that way I'm just copying and pasting. It is so much easier at this
Yes.
point. Yeah, I like that. What could you give me a peek into what systems or habits that help you manage your very full life?
Yeah.
Because I think that those would probably be things that others can help, others can utilize as well.
I'll give you a snapshot of my day. I'm happy to do that. The first thing I do every day when I wake up is I look at my calendar. And I do what I call a 10-minute visualization. Sometimes it's only 5. I'm still in bed. I look at my calendar, I close my eyes, and I literally run through my calendar for the day. And I try to think energetically how I'm going to show up. Like I try to see myself with a smile on my face, that it's a flowing day, that the train got there on time, that I'm really trying that my daughter is happy and easy and we can get out the door quickly, whatever. My clients are happy, they're telling me great stories, we're having great exchanges, whatever it may be, that's my first step. Then when I get online, because that's not always the same thing. I'm a mom. I have a mom routine. We know what that's like. That sometimes can be a marathon. Like it's a 2-hour process from the time you're waking up to the time you actually get onto the computer. And then my first thing that I do is that's my first email check. I like to just check in with my own email and see everything that's coming in. And I do everything that takes 3 minutes or less, I respond to immediately. Anything that takes longer than that then becomes its own time block. If it's a response to a client, if it's I need a longer response, I need to check into something, that becomes its own time block at a later time. I run through that email first. Then I go to my Asana. My Asana is my task list. It is what I live and breathe by.
Same.
And I just run through that whole list of what's happening, when, where, etc. And then from there, it really is what's on the calendar. I do another email check midday. I do another email check evening, and I always end my day the same way I started. Email check, Asana check, making sure that I've gotten through everything on there that I need to get done, wrapping up things that may need to, and reassigning, because we can't always get things done every day. But that's really kind of how I run my day. I am a calendar, task, email, consistent checkoffs.
But I love that you start your day with setting your energy and visualizing your day and determining this is how I want my day to go. Or rather, it feels like this is how my day will go.
Yes.
And you make that decision, which is such a great way to start the day. I'm going to use that one because I
Please.
turned me on to Asana long ago.
Thank you. I'm so happy.
Yes, but but the visualization exercise is one that I have not done myself like that, like the way you described. So I'm definitely gonna I'll report back. I'll let you know how it goes.
And I also end my day when I go to bed. I do a gratitude journal every day. So I always write a minimum of 5 things I'm grateful for the day. And a lot of that is related to business. I had great client calls. My team is doing awesome. I had an amazing networking dinner, right? It can be whatever it is, but yes, a lot of that has to do with that as well.
I love that one too. I was doing that for a while. I got that idea from Oprah.
Too.
Yeah, of course.
We probably watched the same episode. Yeah, exactly.
So, what what lessons from your golf pro years still show up in your journey today as an entrepreneur?
This is a great question because I was recently doing a presentation for a legal group in January, and I got asked, "Do you believe you're an efficient person?" And I said, "I'm extremely efficient." If I'd say that's one of my superpowers, it is. And then the presenter said to me, how did you become that way? And it really was from being an athlete. It started when I was just practicing for myself. Nobody gave me practice plans. My coach would say, "MerriLyn, your percentage out of the sand is only 30%. It has to be at least 50% by the time you come back to school next year." By the way, I got up to 70. Um, and I had to come up with how I was going to practice and what I was going to do and, make that time very efficient. And then when I became a coach, I was a Division II coach. We only had a two and a half hour practice. And I had very lofty goals. Our goal is to win the national championship. We never made it. We got sixth, eighth. We made it pretty close a few times. But I had to figure out how to make a 2.5 hour practice as efficient as possible. And I got really, really good at it. I could make things happen very quickly, very efficiently. I could get our team to elevate their skill sets very fast. And that's where I learned those skill sets.
And that served you throughout your career, of course, I'm sure.
Yes.
What's a twist or a turn in your career that, in hindsight now, changed everything for the better, even if it didn't seem that way at the time? Sometimes it
Well,
feels like a punishment.
I mean, it was starting this business. I mean, it really was unexpected. I chose into it, but it was so challenging. I would say those first 3 years in New York, just the amount of loneliness I experienced, not knowing anyone, being here alone, being a single mother, business not going as quickly and not making the money I really needed to survive in New York. It felt like I had made the wrong decision so many days. And what kept me going every day is just looking at my daughter and knowing she was here with her dad and I got to spend time with her and really reminding myself that same thing that we talked about. Like my mantra was, I will have money. I will have money in my life. I will never get this time back with my daughter.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The money will come later.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would tell your younger self if you could?
I mean, I would love to go back to my 24-year-old self. That's the year I'd like to go back to and tell her how much of a badass she is. Because in 2024, I mean 2004, I made it. I actually made exempt status to the LPGA, and I didn't try very hard. I tried my dad, I tried my husband to get sponsorship so I could play for a year, and I didn't get it, and I gave up. And that may be why also I never gave up when I did this, because I thought to myself, I gave up on my dream once, and I'm not going to ever do it again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So, final question. I can't believe how quickly the time has flown by.
Me too. It's been
What
great.
what unexpected rewards or lessons have come from going around your own ladder rather than climbing a more traditional one?
Um, I'm the one thing that is just absolutely why I get up every morning and want to be an entrepreneur is I get to own my own time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of jokes. If my boss is being an asshole, I just have a conversation with her in the mirror.
I've had
Uh,
those.
if I'm not getting enough time off, guess what? I
Yeah.
get to block some time on my calendar. But just owning my own time and having the flexibility, just getting to go to Family Fridays for my daughter's school is every time I get to go, I just have this moment of gratitude.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have to take time off. I didn't have
Ask
to,
somebody else.
it just, it just is, it's invaluable. It's the game changer. I love that aspect. I love the flexibility and the freedom.
Yeah, yeah. I same with me. I've had those conversations with myself, and I also discovered for me the biggest reward has been that through the process of building my business, I have learned so much about myself. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect the professional and the personal work to be end up so intertwined the way they were. And if something is an obstacle in my personal life, it's going to show up in my as I'm building my business and vice versa. So that was that was very unexpected for me.
It resonates with me too. I think that is so right on.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the journey. There's something about being an entrepreneur, starting as a founder and owner. You have to look, everything is on you. You have to, there's no escaping you. If
Yeah.
something's
Yes.
not, if something's not working, you are the person who has to change it.
Yes. Yes, you're right. No matter where you go, there you are.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. I loved having you on. I loved being able to talk about these things with you and get to know you better. I so appreciate you coming on. This has been so much fun and so many lessons and so many good tips, tricks, hacks, advice that you have for people who may be thinking about taking the leap into entrepreneurship themselves. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Eric, I love every time I get to talk to you, but
Oh,
this
thank
is such
you.
a great opportunity and a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And for everybody who's listening, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if you know anybody else who would like to hear this conversation or others, please tell them about Around the Ladder. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great day.